All right, good afternoon, everyone. We are going to get started with our yoga practice today. So with that being said, if you haven't quite got yourself set up yet, go ahead and get your mat organized, the lighting in the room, and we are going to go ahead and start in relaxation. So we will lay all the way down on your mat, flat on your back. Feel free to wiggle, fidget, get any of those kind of kinks out that you need to, and just enjoy the music, work on our breathing, and we'll stay here for a couple of minutes. All right. So as we lay here, as I mentioned, I just want us to be relaxed. However is comfortable, your version of Shavasana today. Noticing our shoulders just melting into the floor. Taking those big, deep belly breaths. Feeling our belly rise and fall with each breath we take. Noticing if it's easy for us today to relax and to calm down. Or maybe today is one of those sessions that we're going to have to work just a little bit harder at staying present, staying focused. And when that's the case, I like to find an intention to set for myself. Maybe that's just to unplug for this 40 minutes. Or perhaps for yourself, it's flexibility gains or stretching. And sometimes all we need is just to give ourselves permission to not be responsible for anything but our health and well-being. And if that's the case for you, maybe staying in Shavasana or resting in child's pose periodically throughout the class is where you need to be. And understand that that's okay. Now with our next inhale, let's reach those arms long up overhead, big stretch out. And I'll just get you to take deeper breaths now. Big belly breath. Notice how that breath feels. Relaxing, grounding. And then gently release those arms down. Let's just bring our knees into our chest, give ourselves a really big hug. And as we squeeze those legs in towards the body, we'll just go ahead and rock right to left. Noticing any pinching in the hips, any kneading out of the lower backs. And then just roll your ankles, releasing any of those cricks and cracks. Now from here, just very gently taking your feet down to the floor. And we'll bring our arms down by our side. I like to begin our practice with a little activation, paying attention to the glutes. So if we can take some glute bridges, we'll inhale, lift those hips up towards the ceiling, and then exhale, slowly lower down. We'll do this a few times. Inhale, lift the hips up. Exhale, lower down. 2 more times. Inhale, lifting up, trying to activate those glutes. Exhale, lower. And last time, inhale, lift up. Exhale, slowly lower down. Now from here, go ahead and just wiggle out those knees, maybe loosening up anything through the backs or the hips that we might be feeling. And then take your time, rolling all the way over onto your side. And we're going to pick ourselves up into tabletop, finding ourselves coming onto all fours. And we'll work our spinal balance. Extending our right arm forward, thumb towards the ceiling, and then bring that left leg back behind us and lower down. And we're going to do this a few times, switching. Inhale, left arm, right leg. Oh, thank you. Exhale, lower. Inhale, right. Exhale, down. Inhale, left. And just notice what kind of control we have. Exhale, lower. Inhale, right. Exhale, lower. And last time, inhale, left. Exhale, down. All right, now from tabletop, let's come into a couple cows and cats. We'll inhale, open the chest, look forward. And exhale, round the back up, all the way to cat. Inhaling, open. And exhale, round. Doing this 2 more times. Inhaling, open. Exhale, round. And last one, inhale, open. And exhale, round. Pressing back to child's pose when you're ready. Whatever version of child's pose is good for you today. Let's bring those hips down as low as they'll go. Extend the arms and just rest the head. And as we take child's pose, we're going to take a body scan. Noticing what's happening from the toes all the way up those legs, in through the hips, the back, the shoulders, anything we feel through the arms and the neck. Preparing for our modified flow series. We're going to inhale, come forward into our kneeling plank position, shoulders stacked right above wrists. Exhale, hover, elbows brushing ribs. Inhale, pressing straight up. And then exhale, push back into child's pose. We'll do this a few times. Inhaling forward to kneeling plank. Exhale, lower, just as low as you can control today that feels comfortable. Inhale, press up. And exhale, push back. Inhaling forward. Exhale, lower. Inhale, up. Exhale, down. And last time. Inhale, forward, kneeling plank. Exhale, baby crocodile. Inhale up to kneeling plank. And exhale, back into child's. Now from here, we'll come forward into kneeling plank. And then we're going to turn to the side. I'm going to kickstand my left foot behind me in order to lift my right arm up. The option to lift that leg as well. Any side plank that you're happy with here. Good, and then we'll just release that. Coming through the middle and to the other side. So other foot kickstands behind. Lift the arm up nice and tall. Holding side plank for just a couple of breaths. And then as we come down through the middle, we'll release there and press back into child's pose again. Couple deep breaths. Really enjoy this. And we'll lift up into down dog just whenever you're ready. Maybe today we're never ready for down dog, and that's okay. If you're choosing to come all the way up here, go ahead and just pedal through those feet, toe to heel. Now we're going to go through a little bit of a flow with a lunge pose and a plank. Following along, we'll start by taking our right foot all the way up between our hands into a crescent lunge. Helping that knee get there, knee above ankle. And you can keep your hands down or lift those arms up nice and tall, lifting out of our hips. Just staying here for a couple of breaths. Love the stretch on that left hip flexor and just opening up through the shoulders. One more inhale. And exhale, fan the hands down, framing that right foot. And then we can bring the foot all the way back, and I'm gonna lift it up into three-legged dog. Just bending that top knee. Now from three-legged dog, we'll come into a plank position, and I'm gonna leave my right foot raised off the ground a little bit in a one-legged plank, just challenging our balance a little bit with that sequence. From here, we can lower ourselves down through chaturanga. We can take that knee down if we'd prefer, and then lift up to cobra, whether it's baby or full, and lower that down. Pressing back into child's pose or downward dog. Really listen to your body. Remember that intention we set earlier. We'll take our left foot forward when ready into crescent lunge. Knee above ankle, helping the foot get there. We can lift those arms up nice and high. Again, imagine that hip flexor, the front of that right hip stretching out, opening through the heart center. Nice big stretch here. Taking one big inhale, and then exhale, release that down. And we'll come back into three-legged dog, left foot high. Looking back at that right foot, try to get the heel close to the ground. And then coming into that one-legged plank if we're able to. You can always stack that left leg on top of right if it's easier to hold. And then from your plank, we'll take that chaturanga, keeping your leg up if you're able to. Lifting up through cobra. Pressing back, down dog or child's pose. And from here, we'll walk those hands all the way up between our hands. Coming halfway up to monkey when we're able to. Hands pressing against shins or thighs, pulling those shoulders down our back. Feeling slightly invigorated after that power flow. Now we'll shift our weight into our heels, finding a chair pose. Staying where we are, just gonna turn to face forward. From our chair pose, let's get ready for a twisted chair flow. So we take a big inhale at the top here. Exhale, take that left elbow across towards right knee. Inhale, lift through the middle. Exhale, left. Inhale, middle. Exhale, right. Keep going with your breathing. Inhale, middle. Exhale, left. Trying to keep your collars open. Inhale, middle. Exhale. And last time, inhale, middle. Exhale. Inhale, middle. And then as we exhale, release those arms. Lift ourselves up. Oh, and release. At this point, feel free to shake out the legs. If you have a warm-up sweater or jacket on or any socks, go ahead and take those off. Just grabbing a quick drink. All right, so feeling more warm, more ready to go. What I'd like us to do is prepare for a warrior series. Now with this warrior series today, we're going to include some twisting. So if I can get everyone to step your right foot forward, left leg back into warrior one. Heels down. Chest open proudly as we lift those arms into position, shoulders down our backs. Let's try to close our eyes a little bit here. Remember, if it's not comfortable for us to internalize the practice by closing the eyes, let's internalize our practice by finding a spot that we can look at to remain focused. And let's really bring our attention to our breathing. Deep, intentional breath. Staying where we are in warrior one. Preparing to move on, we open to warrior two. Broadening the feet, widening our stance if that's needed as we open the shoulders and hips. Knees are wide. From warrior two, maintaining position with the legs, we open that front right hand into reverse warrior. Loving this side stretch, continuing to bend forward into right knee. Couple big breaths. Loving the feeling of our legs working, our body having to be energizing. Inhale, open to warrior two, and exhale down through side angle. Keeping those shoulders open, never leaning. Again, the feeling of that activation through the side body, stretching open across the hips and thighs. Inhale, opening to warrior two. Straightening out that leg, preparing for triangle. Let's hitch that back hip as we reach forward over front right leg, taking that left hand high. Remember, if we're not a fan of triangle, because there are lots of long straight lines, we can return to side angle if preferred. Feeling open, feeling stacked, just like that side plank we practiced in the beginning of class. Now softening the knee, inhale, lift open. Exhale, slow spiral all the way down over that right foot through lunge. Step back into plank and press back all the way to down dog. Now we're going to use that right leg some more, taking our right foot nice and high up to the ceiling, kicking it forward through crescent lunge. Preparing for a twisted lunge, we leave our left hand on the floor beside that front right foot. We open our right hand to the ceiling, so we're looking over our front knee. I feel a tremendous amount of sensation along the outside of that front hip into the thigh. Notice what you feel. Taking one more inhale here. Exhaling, hands frame the foot. Let's sweep the foot back through plank, which we'll hold. Holding your plank pose, squeeze your legs. Remember, you can always take your knees to the floor. We'll take one more inhale here, and then exhale, chaturanga, that slow, controlled lower to the mat. Inhale, cobra stretch, lift tall. Exhale, pressing back, down dog or child's pose if you prefer. Remember that intention that we set for ourselves at the beginning of class. Making sure we're staying true. So if we needed relaxation, let's give ourselves permission to do that whenever and for however long we need to. And if we're looking to work, to stretch today, let's make sure that we're taking those options. Now slowly walking our hands and feet together, taking as many steps as we need to get to the top of the mat. Let's come halfway up to monkey. Softening the knees, inhale, reverse swan dive, lift tall. And exhale, release. Again, I'll encourage you to fidget, grab that quick drink of water if you need it, as we prepare to repeat that warrior series, starting tall into Dasana. Left foot remains at the top as we step our right foot behind us into warrior one. Sweep those arms up. I'm really thinking about pressing all four corners of my feet into the floor as I drive my front knee forward and my chest open. Closing our eyes if we're able to. Taking those deep, intentional breaths. Let's open up into warrior two. Perhaps heel toeing the feet a little bit farther away from each other. Driving forward into that left knee, keeping the knee open, stacked on top of ankle. Same with shoulders. Sometimes we don't realize they round forward. Let's draw them back. Reverse warrior. That left palm comes high, running through the knee. This is one of my favorite warrior series, going through all of these side poses. Just opening through the sides as we strengthen the muscles in our legs and stretch open through those hips. Inhaling, warrior two. Coming down into side angle, let's bend that left elbow onto the leg. Lift that right arm nice and tall. Inhaling, lift up to warrior two. Preparing for triangle, we straighten that leg, hitch the back hip, and reach forward over that left. Taking the left hand down, the right arm up. Now just notice how the body's reacting to this. I initially felt like it was too low, so I'm just lifting that right hand up a little bit higher. Really using the obliques. You can see that. Good. 2 more breaths. Inhale, lifting up through warrior two, and then slow exhale, spiral down, controlled lunge. From here, whoops, stay in lunge. I took an extra step, my apologies. We're going to take that twisted lunge. We bring our left hand beside that, wait, which foot are we on? You're all right, I'm all wrong. Here we go. Taking the right hand beside that left foot. Oh, and now open into the twisted lunge. After you get yourself unmuddled, sometimes we muddle ourselves. Making sure we're doing both sides equally, bottom line. We open and stretch now through that left hip. Now from that twisted lunge, let's release our hand. Sweep the foot back through plank. Chaturanga, slow lower. All the way down to the mat. Lifting up, cobra stretch. And then release back, down dog or child's pose. And let's just take a few moments. If we're in down dog, trying to really press those heels down towards the ground. Lengthening through the back, regardless of the position we're in. And then let's walk our hands and feet up. Coming halfway up to monkey. Take a moment, readjust for posture. Softening those knees, inhale, reverse. And exhale, release. Couple breaths, any shoulder rolls that are necessary here. And then standing in Tadasana when you're ready. I'm just gonna grab another drink of water. Standing tall in that mountain pose whenever you're ready. All right. Our next twist is going to be a forward fold twist. So what I'll ask us to do is start with soft knees, taking an inhale, lifting our hands all the way up. Now hinging from the hips, exhale into forward fold. And we'll stay here for several breaths, allowing the heads just to come down. Knees are as soft as they need to be. Shoulders are released. Go ahead and shake that head no. Really loosening it, and then nod the head yes. Now from here, preparing for that twisted forward fold, I'll ask that we straighten the right leg a little bit more. I have my left hand on the floor. You can have it against the leg. And then we lift that right arm up to the ceiling. And oh my goodness, the stretch that I felt immediately up that right side of my thigh and into the hip. So nice. That right arm, hopefully we're able to lift it up to the ceiling. If that's not working today, just take it onto the hip or behind the lower back. I'm really bending my left knee to allow a little bit more twist, more rotation. We'll take one more inhale here. And exhale just down through the middle. Maybe both legs are a little bit soft as we prepare to repeat that on the left side. We go ahead and straighten the left leg, bend the right knee, and then lift that left arm up to the ceiling. Right hand's wherever it needs to be. Mine happens to be on the floor. Really opening that left arm, knowing where our limbs exist in space. And now the feeling is mostly the stretch of the outside of the left hip into the thigh. Twists can be quite intense, so just breathe into them. One more inhale. Exhale, through forward fold again. Maybe just bend or bounce the knees. And then let's straighten out the legs, holding forward fold one more time. Relax the head completely. The shoulders are let go. Couple big deep breaths. And then softening those knees, we step all the way down through tabletop. And from tabletop, I will get us to come back into child's pose. Sitting the hips nice and low, extending those arms, and just relaxing the head. And coming into our shoulder stretch next, we'll bring that right arm, threading the needle underneath the left shoulder. Little rotation through that upper back. Noticing if we feel anything on that right side. Coming through the middle. We'll take the left arm under instead. Finding our position, bringing that left ear, left shoulder down as far as we can. Sometimes it helps if we lift the hips up. I'm choosing to sink them down a little bit lower, really making each position our own. Coming up through the middle, slowly working our way up into a seated posture. We'll sweep those legs around so that we're in a staff pose. Legs are completely out straight in front of us. It may take us a little bit of time to get here, and that's okay. Working our way into position. Legs can be as close as touching or as far apart as hips width distance. We'll work our way into our next forward fold. Big inhale, lift our hands up tall. And then exhale, reach flat back, far forward as we can. As soon as we feel a stretch, this is where we will rest the hands, relax the head and shoulders down. Slow our breathing and notice what we're feeling. If it's behind the knees or up the hamstrings into our hips, or perhaps it's down through the back and maybe even into our neck. Really being aware of the sensation we're feeling and where we feel it. And slowly rolling that up. We're going to stretch the opposite side and come into a reverse table. We start by taking our hands just behind us, underneath the shoulders, ensuring that fingers face forward or just slightly to the side so that we can keep our elbows soft. We'll take our feet hips width distance apart, bending our knees. We're going to lift up into that crab position. I'll turn to the side so we have a better view. Now, lifting up could be just puffing the chest today, if that's better for the wrists. Otherwise, you're going to try to lift your hips up. I'll lift mine up all the way. But as I mentioned, if you'd rather just puff the chest, that's a nice place to be. Now, as we're here, the purpose of this is to try to really lift those hips up, just like our glute bridges, and then open up across the chest. You can look forward or up to the ceiling. We'll hold this for one more big inhale, and exhale. Slowly control that lower, and we can come off of our wrists and just give them a little bit of a circle. Next, we're coming into our boat pose. This is a core focused exercise. I like to start with my feet basically where they were, hips width distance apart, knees are bent approximately 90 degrees. We'll scoop our hands under the thighs, sitting up so tall. Now lean back about 45 degrees with the torso, so you're resting between sits bones, tailbone. Nice and flat base of support. Elbows are almost straight. Choosing to stay here or release those arms forward. Now, as we hold this, if anyone would like to go that next step, you can lift your legs up, bringing the shins approximately parallel to the floor. And then the next and final level would be arms extended overhead and possibly legs extended as well. We'll hold this for 3 breaths. Pulling those belly buttons to side. And last big inhale. Exhale, release. Just giving myself a hug. Thanking my body for doing such physical work. As we now take ourselves into a seated spinal twist. Extending that right leg forward. We can leave the left knee bent, sitting up so tall. Give that knee a hug, and then just look over that left arm. So if you have your left knee raised, twist over your left shoulder. Sitting up so tall. Couple deep breaths. One more big inhale. And exhale, release through the middle. Switching sides. Now before we rotate, notice if you're in a slouch posture, We sit so tall so that we can work in a neutral spine before adding that functional movement of that rotation. Looking back over that right shoulder. One more big inhale. Exhale, release. And we can release both legs out, maybe even give them a shake. Preparing for our Turkish twist. This will be our last seated stretch. I'll face forward. Turkish twist, we've got lots of different options here. We're going to begin in staff pose, taking ourselves next into the left leg. We're just gonna bend that into kind of like a butterfly here. Now from that, we'll stack that right foot on top of left. So you might need to move that a little bit. So if you can see, I have my right leg bent in a butterfly, and now I'm just taking my left leg across. If you're able to move beyond your right foot on the floor, you might be able to stack your right knee directly on top of left knee. Now I'm just going to unwind for a moment in case we lost that. Where our legs were straight, I'm going to bring that left leg into butterfly. This right foot can come up, and maybe here is where we stay. Otherwise, you bring that right foot across. See how I'm just wiggling my foot? And then you'll try to bring your knee on top of knee. Wherever you needed to stop, that's a great place to be. I'm gonna try to bring this right hip down to the floor. See how my shoelaces are trying to rest on the floor as well? Now with this position, knee on top of knee, we're going to just take ourselves through heart center. Add a little rotation using our oblique muscles. And see if we can get that left elbow to rest on top of our right knee. And just look over that right shoulder. If that's not a happy place, we repeat that spinal twist where we'll just set elbow against elbow and rotate. Lots of progressions here, noticing what we're feeling through our right hip. As we open our chest, slow that breathing. These deep stretches require a lot of focus. With those deeper breaths, noticing how that helps your body relax. One more inhale. And exhale, release. Now you may just need to help yourself get out of that. Again, twists can be quite intense. Go ahead and just shake those legs, encourage some blood flow. And from staff, we'll repeat that now with the other side. Starting by taking that right leg into butterfly. We'll bring that left foot. And we're just going to bring it across. Again, maybe this is where you stay. It's kind of an awkward seated position. But if you can bring the foot to the outside of the right knee, this is a nice place. So it's kind of like a bent leg seated twist. If this feels okay and you'd like to take the next step, we'll work that right knee forward and try to stack left knee on top of right knee. And then that left hip, we just want to try to bring that cheek down to the floor. If the cheek doesn't come down to the floor and you're kind of sitting twisted, that's when you'll want to replace the foot and keep that back on the ground and even maybe on the inside of the knee. So let's find that position again. I'll bring your right foot in, left foot maybe across, knee on top of knee. For me, that's where I'll be today. Hips down, sitting up tall. And then we find heart center. If the next option's available, we'll twist here, connecting right elbow into that left knee. And I'm gonna look over my left shoulder. If that twisted heart center forced this shoulder into a slouch position, go ahead and just keep that more into a hug. Now, whatever version or whatever pose we ended up in, let's embrace the sensation through that left hip, maybe perhaps through the upper back or the shoulder blades. Slow your breathing, encourage that parasympathetic nervous system to stay acting primarily, avoiding that fight or flight response. Noticing what that left hip is saying, listening to your body. One more big inhale. And exhale, slowly release. Again, just help your legs coming out of that. Take your time, releasing them forward, and just give them a shake. And then if you have any socks or sweaters, anything you need to do right now to get comfortable, let's put those back on because we're going to take ourselves down to the floor. Just a couple more stretches before ending with our meditation. So no rush. Take your time, and whenever you get down to the mat, just feel free to get comfortable. I always like to take a knees to chest, working my way through into this supine position. And we'll be taking our final spinal twist, which will be a single leg twist here in this position on our backs. So if we'd like to take our legs down straight, we can get ready for that. Arms out to the side. Inhale, lifting our right knee up. Exhale, lowering over to the left. Looking over that right shoulder. Trying to keep both shoulders and arms heavy on the mat. Inhale, lifting that knee up. Exhale, lowering down. If you're twisted, like I am, just wiggle back into a neutral position before lifting that left knee up. And exhale, lower to the right. And we can look over that left arm. Again, just try to keep the shoulders down on the floor. Relishing in the success of practicing our physical movement through our poses, our breathing. Noticing how that affects our feelings, our mood, and the emotions. Inhale, lifting that knee. Exhale, lowering so that both feet are on the floor, knees are bent, opening into our butterfly, stretching now the inside of those hips. And noticing how this physical practice affects our physiology. For instance, our heart rate. Noticing that beating in our chest has slowed, has deepened. Same with our breathing. The effect that has, as I mentioned, on our affective state. If we're feeling calmer, more relaxed, more content, which plays into our cognitive ability and functioning, providing us a clean slate, less cluttered mind, more ability to find some perspective or focus more with clarity. Choosing to stay here in this butterfly position for the remainder of class, or if we're ready to exit that, we can help those knees in together and find a position that's more comfortable for us today. I'll be taking Shavasana. If you'd like to join me with straight legs, those arms resting out to the sides, opening through heart center, across the collars, relax through the abdomen, and down into the hips, restoring that open position through the hips. Noticing your breathing. Taking those slow, deep inhales and exhales. And as we continue to take those slow, deep breaths, I want you to really notice the weight across your shoulders just melting into the floor. Anything going on through the hips, feeling both the right and left sides. equally pressing down into the mat. And then let's revisit that intention. What was our intention for practice today? Maybe it was that option just to unplug, to not be needed or responsible for anything. Perhaps it was a few minutes of relaxation and serenity, or this could have been with purpose of strength and flexibility, finding energy to make it through the rest of our day. How did we do with that intention? Some days we're able to really stay true. And other days we may have found that what we thought we needed something else, and we changed paths. Reflecting on this, knowing how you feel right now, and taking this moment to thank yourself. Thank yourself for your physical practice, knowing the effects it has on your mental health, your emotional health, and being grateful for the opportunity. As we take one more breath cycle, really filling our lungs up with air, we can release tension from the fingers, from the toes, perhaps circling wrists and ankles. Perhaps even just working through necks and shoulders, wiggling through hips, whatever we need as we make our way up slowly into that easy seated position. And from this easy seated position, we'll take that final breath together. Big inhale, lifting hands all the way up above head. Exhaling down through heart center. Namaste. Thank you so